You guys, welcome to the world of Chloe, where she gets demolished like every single day in her comment section over on Instagram. There's 500 comments on one of my latest reels, and I honestly think that like 385 of them are negative. Apparently, I'm an awful person. So let's dive into today's comment section on Chloe's latest reel. I think I'm going to start a series with this, guys. But let's just go ahead first and foremost and let's play the reel and let me explain to you what I meant by the reel. Because people were making all these offhanded remarks where I was like, I think we're missing the very simple, plain point that I was making here. So here's the reel, my friends. And I have my lovely computer over here where I'm going to watch it over here and I'm going to tell you what it says. You're watching over here though. It says, if you're my friend, I'm going to welcome you into my home and feed you. It's true. When I am back at my house, especially out in California, I am like little Miss Hostess. Like I'm constantly hosting people. My whole family's like that. I'm one of 6 children. There are 16 people underneath my mom and dad with partners and babies and all of that. And all of us just have that attitude of the more the merrier and everyone is welcome. So when I was younger, my dad always had this mentality of, cook enough for our family and double it, because he always wanted there to be extra food in case someone came into the house and needed sustenance. And so at 14 years old, when I really took over the cooking for the family every night, because it was I had a very disordered relationship with food and I needed the control. But anyways, my mom finally was like, I cannot cook with her. I'm giving her the reins. So from the age of 14 to 19, I was cooking every single night for the family. And my dad always wanted there to be more food. And as I got older and started, building a good community of people, my house became the gathering place. And what do we do when we gather? I feed you. So anyway, so I said, if you're my friend, I'm going to welcome you into my home and I'm going to feed you. All I ask is that you graciously eat whatever it is I put in front of you. Please don't call me and say you're eating low FODMAP, trying to go dairy free, or have eliminated all carbs from your diet. I'm just trying to love on you. Don't reject it, just receive it. Now, first and foremost, when we are making reels, as a content creator, when I make reels, I cannot, in this short little reel, 30 seconds, put all the different caveats, put all the different things that I wanted to say about this, and I cannot put the whole big picture into this, which I think is why a lot of people came at me in the comment section. I do want to read what I wrote though in my caption, so at least the first little bit. I wrote, before you come at me in the comments. So I kind of knew that some people were going to get like angry at this for some reason. So I was like, before you come at me in the comments, let me be clear. If someone has a true allergy to something, I will happily abide by their dietary needs. If someone has a religious dietary rule, I will happily abide by their needs as well. So the comments, this is what I got. Number 1, I got this comment being like, this is oddly narc. This person said, I'm trying to be gentle here, but aren't you projecting your experience with an ED onto other people? If you're feeding with quote unquote love, then you don't get to dictate and make it about yourself, no? Then love the people and actually make their day by caring about their preferences. Love that only serves you isn't exactly a kind love. So let's dive into this here. First and foremost, my page, if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on YouTube too, my page is dedicated to helping girls overcome orthorexia, anorexia, and amenorrhea, along with that exercise addiction as well. Those are like the 4 main things that I'm like, you have one of these 4 things, this is what I help you with. If you're someone who comes to me, my main goal is to help you be someone who can eat food. So when I make any form of content, I am literally talking directly to that population. I'm not talking to Sally from down the road. I'm not talking to my friend Sarah who has celiac disease and who cannot eat gluten. I'm not talking to that population. I'm talking to the people who are stuck in an orthorexic mindset, fearful of eating anything that is off of their good list, right? Being hyper controlling over their food. I'm talking to them. And what I'm saying here in this post is I'm saying, hey, darling, if I or anyone invites you over for food, it is part of the recovery process for you to learn to let go of that control and to just allow them to cook you food. Allow them to make what they're going to make. I know the urge is going to be strong to want to tell them like, oh, I don't do this and I don't do this and I don't do this and don't do that. And oh, I don't eat sugar and I eliminated all carbs. And I know there's an urge to do that. But that's not where the medicine is. The medicine for you, if you're trying to get to this place of food freedom and being an intuitive eater and all of that, the medicine for you is to learn how to just receive the food. And that's what I said here. I was like, I'm trying to love on you. Don't reject it, just receive it. When I cook that food, when I'm cooking for people, I cook out of love. It's my time, it's my energy, it's my money that went into buying that food. If I'm cooking for you, I'm doing it out of love, out of I want to cook for you. I'm making that food with love. Again, can you receive it? Let me tell you a little story here. Back when I was 17 years old, I did like a year of veganism. I also was highly anorexic and orthorexic at that time. I then, years later, did my whole 5-year stint of veganism where that was less of Anna. That was more, I was just trying to recover, but via being, vegan, and more dealing with orthorexia at that time. But this was the first time I went vegan, and my reasoning behind it was really, I'm fearful of all of the foods that contain meat, cheese, eggs, and like that type of stuff in it. And so I'm going to conveniently use veganism to hide the fact that I don't want to eat these foods. That's where I was at that point in my journey. And so I grew up part-time in Costa Rica, and I also grew up Mormon, and we would go to church every Sunday, and we became good family friends with one of the families that goes to church. They invited us being like my whole family, like there is a lot of us, they invited us to their house, which was like an hour and a half outside of the town in this very rural community. Like they didn't even have like a floor, like I'm talking about like mud shack, that type of situation, right? And we get there and they lovingly, wanted to invite us to dinner. So they have a bunch of chickens roaming around. They can only afford to eat from what they have there. And so the mom started cooking one of their chickens. She made this big stew. We were there for hours, I remember that. She made this big stew, and it finally was dinner time, and we all sit down at the table, and she's serving everyone, and gosh, they are so happy to have us there. They're so grateful that we are sitting at their table, right? And she's happily kind of serving everyone, and then comes to me, and I was like, oh no. And she's like, what? Sorry? What? And I was like, no, gracias. No para mí. And she was like, what? And my mom, you could see my mom tense up being like, oh my gosh, Chloe, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Like, please don't do this right now. And I was like, I don't eat meat. I don't want to have any of that food. And you could just see her just like, first off, she just didn't understand. She's like, what? What do you mean you're not going to have this? Like, we just spent all day cooking this lovely stew for you and you're not going to have any? And I was so adamant about not eating it, I didn't have it. And my mom, of course, had to apologize to her. And I'm sure my mom had a conversation with her or whatever that was like, I'm sorry, my daughter's just, dealing with her stuff. But I remember that day. It's one of the days actually out of my whole ED journey that I really, really remember visually, and I really deeply regret. I regret that I wasn't able to just say yes to the food that she was offering us. Because I was in my head being like, no, meat is bad and I don't eat this and, this is not my diet and I just want vegetables. It's really sad to me that I did that. So again, the medicine for me in that moment would have been, you know what? I know this is making me uncomfortable. I know that my ED is just like going crazy, but how do I learn how to just accept this right now without needing to make a fuss about it? That's the medicine. That to me is true recovery. We have all these people trying to recover, being paleo, being keto, being vegan, being all these things, right? At the end of the day, for me, my definition of recovery. So if you're someone who works with me, the place that I try to get you is a place where you can sit down and eat food with anyone. That's my goal for my clients because that's what I see to be full recovery. If that's not your goal, then great. Probably don't work with me one-on-one because I'm someone who's going to get you to that point where you're like, yep, I can eat anything. If you need me to eat that, I can have that. Without needing to come in with all of these, oh, I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do this. I want to read some of these positive comments because I think some people did try and get it. This one person said, oof, I feel this. I used to share my long list of things I wouldn't eat, including things like rice and fruit. And then my family would buy alternatives that fit those needs, and I wouldn't eat those either. I'm grateful I now have this healthier mindset when I go to eat with others and wish I had it a few years ago. And then this person messaged me and she said, this just seems like basic respect to me. When I go to someone's home, I eat what I'm offered. That's how I was raised. I 100% agree and can't imagine being angry about this, honestly. And then I think I responded a little something, and she said, exactly, fellowship over food is so powerful, and disorders can really impede our ability to actually enjoy that fellowship and community. I love your work. Thank you for your honesty and kind heart. So some people understood, and I think it's the people who have gone through this that understand. And again, my page is just talking to those people. And I think it's really important to remember that. I'm not talking to someone who has cancer and needs to eat a certain diet, or someone who's diabetic and needs to eat a certain diet. I'm not talking to those people. And I'm not saying that I'm not kind and I don't, pay attention to people's needs when they come to my house. Again, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying if you are someone who has a disordered relationship with food, the medicine when you go to someone's house is to learn to let go of that control for the sake of love. This person loves me. They put their time and energy into this. They made it with love. I'm going to receive this for the sake of just making everything go smoothly. That's the medicine. And that's what I was trying to share here. If you're wanting to watch another one of my videos to get some recovery inspiration, then you might want to watch this video right here. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.